Across Australia on SEN and the SEN app, mate. Perth Fever is sweeping the country for UFC 284, and we are very, very excited to have one of the most exciting stars of the country. He's about to make his debut in 2 weeks' time today. It's Pharjack Jenkins. He's live in the studio, mate. How are you?
Good, boys. Good to be in studio. See, he's moving up in the world as opposed to the old Zoom calls.
Our first time on the pod, we had a little bit of technical difficulties, but as we said to Jim last week, mate, it's good to have you in and can actually get a bit of a feel for yourself and what you're doing. Mate, since you came on our podcast, I just want to address you've become a bit of a media darling, I reckon. You've done SEN Track. You've been doing a lot. You've probably done more for this station than we haven't. And you might have to give us some tips, mate. But, yeah, you love the horse racing. And we had a text message come in, and before we get into your fight, they said, Jack, favourite horse and why?
Favourite current horse, definitely Zaki. Annabelle Neesham trained, back-to-back champion stakes winner. I just love that horse. Bit of a romantic attachment to it. Best horse of all time for me, out of Australia in my lifetime. So you think Bart Cummings' last great horse, I think. So yeah, they're my two favourite.
Lovely. What about a bit of Might and Power? I used to like a bit of Might and Power.
Yeah,
good. Or Apache Cat.
Apache Cat.
He was good.
Yep.
You've obviously researched Mako Shark for a non-punter, but we'll get past that for the minute, mate. How's camp been? How's it been leading up to you? You've obviously come from the Contender Series and you're having a home soil debut in Perth. How's it been for you, camp, trying to put all the mental side and just getting right to really go on there and show everyone what you can do and have a really big performance in your debut in Perth?
Yeah, I was talking to my coach about this the other day. The thing that excites me the most is that I've always trained and always treated every fight like it's the most important and it's the biggest. And if you ask any of my friends, I've been the main event in my head since I was a kid, so it doesn't really matter so much the size of the event. But because I've treated all my training camps leading up to that like this one just feels exactly the same. I'm not trying to train any harder. I've always trained to the top of my ability. Yeah. And I'm not trying to put any added pressure or anything. I just get to do it in front of a lot more people for a lot more money now. So it's
that's
good.
What they call it these days. I think it's main character energy. You are the main character no matter where on the card you are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I am actually the headline of the early prelims.
That's a prestigious spot.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I'll be happy to see the fight pass numbers coming out of there and see how many people are tuning in.
Mate, they'll be chockers. Mate, tell us about it. You're fighting a bloke by the name of Don Shainis. I don't know much about him. I think it could be his second fight maybe in the UFC. But, mate, tell us how you feel. What's he like? What are your strengths and weaknesses and where you feel the fight's going to go?
Yeah, I don't think either of us are making a secret about what our plans are in this fight. He's going to come out and try and pressure forward and force a grapple, and I'm going to go out there and try and stay on the outside and pick him apart. It's a classic matchup. Body types were very similar. Mm-hmm. He's really fit. I'm really fit, so it's going to be a good fight. The one thing that I'll give him is you can't take his last fight into the equation at all. He came in and fought Sadiq Yusuf, a top 10 guy on maybe 4 or 5 days notice with a big weight cut. So, I don't take any notice of that. So as far as I'm concerned, he's on a big win streak. I'm on a big win streak. This is both of our debuts and we're going to find out who's on an upward trajectory.
Yeah. And when you hear things from fighters, not just this fight, but in previous fights, when you might hear how they're going to prepare for you or what they're going to bring to the fight, do you need to sometimes be a little bit wary about them maybe just putting a few things out there to try and get you to think a certain way or take them a certain way? Or do you believe that this guy especially is going to do what he probably thinks he's going to do to you?
Well, it's a win-win for me because if he comes out and tries to grapple, that's what I've prepared for. But if he comes out and tries to kickbox with me, then you beauty. That's what I want to do. Yeah. So it's a win-win for me. So it doesn't really matter. We've just watched. I'm really lucky and my coaches are really good at watching tape and I've got full spreadsheets with links to all of his fights and they put notes in it. Watch at 2 minutes he does this, at 3 minutes he does this. So I don't have to do a lot of the legwork, but I get a lot of the end result that I can game plan for.
And we said off air you had a bit of help from an unknown person sliding into your DMs for your last fight, and you've got vision and all that stuff you just mentioned now. Has that person been back in contact to try and double up for you?
Me and Ben P have had a chat, and he's got the ticket. He's got the ticket for Perth, so he'll be over there, and I'm sure we'll catch up.
If anyone out there's got any intel, any secret knowledge on Don Shainis, just call in now, please, and we'll get it to Jack immediately. Mate, if he's probably in a bit of trouble, though, if he thinks he's going to try and take you down and he's going to expect you to be sort of standing up, doing what you do best with that kickboxing and breaking dudes' legs. But having watched you on the Contender Series, as Dana White famously called you, the one-trick pony, because you showed how good your grappling is and how good you can be on the ground. So I reckon, if he thinks it's just going to be like, I'm going to get him down and I'm going to impose my will on you, it's not going to go that way, is it? Because you're comfortable either on the feet or on the mat.
Yeah, for sure. I've made no secret about it from the start, though. I want to get in. I want to make a heap of money, and I want to get out of the sport and enjoy my time here. And the fastest way to make money is to be good on the feet. And I've made a little bit of a career so far out of breaking people's legs. So I want to continue with that trajectory. But if I have to grapple, I'm a brown belt. I can wrestle. I'm quite athletic in there, so I've got no qualms if he comes in and he wants to make it a grappling match in engaging with him there.
Great usage of the word qualm too. I like that word. Get that on radio as much as possible, mate. As you said, you've broken about 3 dudes' legs, I think, in your career so far. Take us through what that feels like. If you land a sweet kick and you know you've done damage, do you know that? Like, can you feel it and you know immediately, all right, this dude's compromised? Like, take us through what it feels like.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. It's about the timing of when in their step do you hit the kick. So if their foot's off the ground completely, you're unlikely to break it because it doesn't have that pushback from the ground. You want to time it just as people are stepping forward into their jab or just as they're stepping into your range. So they've kind of got connection with the ground, but not all their weight through it, and you can really rip and crack that tibia. I've noticed in 2 fights exactly when I've broken it, and in the third one I didn't notice. I was so in the zone, but. Yep. In that fight, I'd broken his jaw and his leg, so there was just stuff breaking all over the place.
Mate, talk to us about the other side of it when you cop a really good kick, like to your leg. How do you poker face at best to try and show them that you're not hurt? So you talk about when you deliver one and you get the feeling. Is it hard when you receive one to not show them that you're hurt in that? Because when I watch it, it just blows my mind. Some of the kicks that these men and women take and seemingly stand there. Obviously, we know it's hurt them, but is that a big part of sort of obviously the fight game as well, showing that you're not hurt when you actually are?
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. It's a massive part. Not only not showing when you're not hurt, but showing when you're tired. That's the big thing. Is I'm gassed right now, but I'm not going to let my opponent know. I was lucky enough. I got 2 older brothers, so I took my licks all the way growing up, and I'm fairly good at hiding it.
That would be the hardest thing, being in a scrap and just having no gas. Like, it must just be the most terrifying sort of thing when you just can't breathe almost. Your lungs would be screaming.
Yeah, there's a big sign up. I think it's at Team Alpha Male, and a big poster on the wall, and it says "Fatigue makes cowards of us all."
Yeah, mate, we've got a caller on the line. We'll get in just before we go to the news break, but we know him, our man Loz from the Coconut Tip podcast. I think you're quite familiar with our man as well. We've got him on the line. You got any questions for us, Loz?
Oh, what's up, boys?
Hey, how are you, mate?
I'm good. Congratulations. Moving up, as old Jack said.
Mate, don't worry about us.
Question for the whitest Samoan that I know. Bro, we know that you've been inspired by Jimmy and your bro Sai, so I just wanted to ask, how are you feeling, man? Like, you're about to make your debut and, you've got a cool story fighting for the bro Sai. I just wanted to ask how you're feeling about doing that.
Yeah, I'm pumped, mate. Good. I'm really looking forward to getting over there. It's 10 years of work to break in, and now I'm here. It's good to just have the chance to get over and do it now, because I know there's a lot of people who have put in a lot of work like I have, and they're still sitting on the sidelines watching and waiting for their opportunity. So I'm going to take it with both hands.
Yeah, nice. And then the other thing, I don't have secret news, but I just want to drop that you're probably going to jab the hell out of that dude because you have way better hands, so that's my pick for the boys.
Good tip there, good tip. I love it. Thanks for the call, mate.
Good on you, Loz. So just quickly before we go to an ad, bro, I'd love to know how it is for fighters that like yourself. You've been, you're 10 years, have a journey, and you still haven't been signed. Is it hard for those people to, I guess, stay motivated, or do they just trust the process? Did you obviously trusted the process? It must be hard at times though to know when or if you're going to get that contract.
Yeah, it's really hard. And with COVID, it added such another leg to it. I really think I should have got my shot 2 or 3 years ago when I was the number one guy. But with COVID, I had to wait and scatter a few fights out there and do it. But if you're a guy and you're in the top 2 or 3 in your weight class in Australia and you don't have a fight booked for the weekend that the UFC is here or the weekend after, you should. Yes. And if you absolutely couldn't, then you should be in your last 2 weeks of a practice camp anyway. If I had not been signed and I was waiting for the opportunity, there's no way that I wouldn't be knocking on the door saying, hey, anyone's injured, anyone can't get on the plane, I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a great mindset, and I guess you have to have that though. You're all special to be doing the sport you're doing, I guess, in a sense that the common common human couldn't do that at that level to try and get to that. It blows my mind seeing what you guys go through and how hard it can be financially and what you have to do, to get to that level. So I guess it's not for everyone, as we know, but the ones that stick at it, the ones that have talent, have the mindset generally are the ones that do get that opportunity. We're going to get to the news. If anyone wants to ring in, text in, please do so, like our friend Loz. But this is Them's Fighting Words coming to you across Australia on the SEN app. We'll be back after the news.